You're being played like a two-bit fiddle. My dad's scoffing words stung, but they were right, just not in the way he intended them. The truth is that all of us, you, me, them, are being played every day. But the ones picking the strings aren't some nebulous leftist they or ultra-conservative MAGA red hats. It's ourselves. Science shows that up to 95% of our daily thoughts, words, and actions are influenced by the unconscious. That is, the set of beliefs and patterns we live by without even knowing why. This is called unconscious bias, and it affects us all. On the one hand, unconscious bias is a good thing. It helps us move in our world without overthinking and helps us identify and avoid potential danger in real time. However, there are significant risks associated with living by our biases. Remember, our biases are formed early, many by the age of 3 or 5 years old. That means that many of our biases don't come from experience. They come from our parents, our grandparents, our great-grandparents, and the cultures that they lived in, our culture at large. The biases we inherited may have served to protect someone at some time, but they may not apply at all to present realities. Here's an example. Our family adopted a black cat from a shelter. She seemed to be settling in pretty well until about 5 days in. One night, she mauled both of my kids, earning herself a quick trip back to the shelter and leaving our family with both physical and emotional scars. Although I and my extended family have successfully adopted dogs from this shelter, I won't go there for another cat. I know it's irrational, but once bitten, twice shy for sure. Now let's assume we look to my kids' kids. If every time we pass that shelter, we tell the story of Pepper, their children will unconsciously become biased against that shelter, particularly when it comes to adopting cats. They may also become biased against black cats. A change of management or policy may make the shelter fine for cats. Or maybe the shelter's fine anyway and we just got a road cat. But future generations from our family will likely continue to avoid that shelter, and at one point, they will stop even asking why. Now, consider whether our biases are not directed at a shelter, but somewhere else, at skin color, religion, racial heritage, financial status, education. What is a family quirk when directed at a shelter becomes bigotry, racism, abuses when directed towards people and groups. Socrates is credited with saying, "The unexamined life is not worth living." He's right. If we live every day on instinct and refuse to question not only what we do, but more importantly, why we do it, we are no different than Pepper the cat, who, although housed in a safe, loving home, acted out in fear and aggression, probably related to her background of being an abused cat on the street. Let me tell you, the examined life takes work, but it's worth it. Not sure how to start? Here are a few simple steps that I have to use every single day. First, observe yourself. What people, words, or situations evoke a strong negative or positive reaction in your body and emotions? Common triggers might be how people look, dress, or talk. Terms like socialism, capitalism, racism, white supremacism. I got some triggers in my body just saying some of those. Situations such as walking past a church, a mosque, or a type of housing. Those strong emotions will often indicate the presence of an unconscious bias. Second, ask why. Why do I lock my doors in a specific neighborhood but not in others? Did I have a bad experience in that neighborhood? If not, You likely found another unconscious bias. Dig deeper. What do I believe about this place, the people? What do I think is going to happen to me if I don't protect myself? Third, truth test. If you get anxious in a specific neighborhood, look at crime stats. Talk to people who actually live there. Look for examples that disprove your bias. That's the most important part because we can take facts and we can twist them to fit our unconscious bias. Approach yourself as if you're a scientist and you're trying to find out the absolute truth and you want to make sure that you think this theory works. But what if it's wrong? Look for the evidence that's going to show you maybe I've been looking at this the wrong way. Now, I've spent decades in this process, so I know that it is really difficult when you come to the conclusion that your biases are wrong. And we all have biases that are wrong. So if you're doing this work honestly, you will come to that point. And depending on how deep and important the bias is for you, it's going to be hard and it's going to be emotional. I constantly have to challenge my biases every single day. But I'll tell you, it is worth it. Because when I've done the truth testing and I've gotten to spend time with people that before I thought were maybe not my peeps, it's made my life richer. I have found deep friendships and appreciation for cultures and values that I didn't even think was possible. So my fellow two-bit fiddle players, let's start questioning ourselves. We don't have to quit playing, but we might have to replace a few strings.